We're live, by the way.
Oh, we are live. Jay, you're muted. I didn't know we were live.
No, I was in um, XSplit. It doesn't
Oh,
push to talk over, so
gotcha.
I wonder if you can launch XSplit as admin and it'll
That might do
override
it.
that.
That
I'm,
should.
I'm going to try that next time I have to do something like that.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody, to the Shield Against Midnight, a Call of Cthulhu, a 7th edition Call of Cthulhu game set in 1969. It's fucking been a while. So,
it's now
let's see.
1970. No.
Yeah, it's definitely now 1970.
I felt like the summer was going to last forever.
The world has ended. Yogg-Sothoth nuked everybody after he got control of the Russian premier.
Those are the best days of our life.
All right, we're never coming back from that pun. It's over. Done. Congratulations. A great face of Dan appeared from the sky and whispered upon the world a devastating pun. And the seas parted. And
Punsagoth.
shit fucking exploded. It has been a while, so I'm gonna do my best to catch everybody up to where we were as quickly as I can. We are currently following a group employed by the mysterious organization known as Delta Green, who investigates supernatural incidents both abroad and within the United States borders. Their current mission is to establish a safe house after a devastating attack wiped out their facilities, their main facility on the East Coast. However, during their initial meeting with their new Delta Green liaison, the team was attacked by a shadowy entity, causing some damage to the team's morale and body before getting to know one of their new team members, Emilio, who took them out for some delightful Italian food, during which time a strange, almost sentient drug was released amongst the party, infecting one of its members and causing more morale damage. It was a bad night overall. But after all that stress, the party decided, screw it, we're going to take some of our slush fund money, because if we're part of the USA's alphabet soup, we've totally got some slush fund money. Don't ask where it came from, probably drugs. And we're going to go to the Windsor Hotel and get ourselves a nice night's sleep. And that, more or less, is the spark notes of what happened. Unless I forgot something really important.
We had breakfast and discussed the paper the next morning.
We did have breakfast and discuss the paper.
So people that were already getting up and coming down for breakfast as of the last episode.
That's true. And also, Parvana had mailed a package to another one of her friends in the Delta Green organization, the former player character, Chase. But without further ado, let's return to the world of the Shield Against Midnight, and we're actually going to roll back the clock just a little bit. Because unfortunately, the last time we got together, 17 years ago, one of our members was not with us, and she had just received some very important personal information regarding her youth. Sage.
That she had been looking for, fighting for quite a while.
Yes, when you retired to your room in the Windsor Hotel, you had the opportunity to go through an inordinate amount of paperwork. We're talking several files, many manila folders, lots of headers, lots of dispatches. It is a very thick amount of paperwork. And even if you stayed up all night, you may not have been able to get through it all. So, can I, real quick for you, get a library use roll? Fortunately, that is a fail. But what that only means is that it's a lot to get through, and more of it was done up in the very formal sort of dispatch that you're not familiar with. You being formerly FBI, you're used to these sort of you're used to police reports and God, what's it called? But you're used to police reports and these kind of reports. the way that this Delta Green's filing is done completely differently, and it makes it difficult to sift through. But that being said, spending the night, you would be able to get a lot done. Now, you could attempt, I don't know, to stay up all night and push your roll to try and get more done if you would like.
Would I also need a constitution roll?
There will be consequences if you fail your pushed roll, but you could learn more information even if you fail.
I'm gonna go ahead and first quickly go through it and see if anything really catches my eye.
There is something that's going to catch your eye immediately. It's one of the first things that stands out. It's excuse me. Trying to get back into GM. It's one of the first things that stands out. It's on the very front page of the very first folder. And it's who handled the initial investigation. A Joseph A. Hutchinson.
Hutchinson?
Indeed. It appears that
Fuck.
he was the one handling the original investigation, and many of the reports located within are written either in his handwriting or signed by him after being typed up.
Was he the one that found me, or was it another?
You wouldn't be able to get to that part. Not on a fail. Not in one night.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna stay up and I'm gonna continue reading.
Okay, give me that pushed roll, please. Oh, very close. Unfortunately, you can't spend luck on a pushed roll. But much closer. More or less, though, the start of the paperwork actually is a bit confusing to you because it details the history of a theater company, a traveling group known as the Grinning Twins. This theater company had its start down in Florida, where it was the brainchild of two brothers, whose names I can't find the tab that they're in. I warned you this would happen when I opened too many goddamn tabs.
When you couldn't come up with the name, I literally turned to Andrew and I said, if he says Donovan and Patrick, I'm gonna lose my shit.
No. Oh my god, I'm... Christ. Leifson, that's it. Christ. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in chat so I don't forget it. Okay. But two brothers, Albrecht and Gunther Leifson, both first-generation Americans, their parents having immigrated from Sweden. And they took to the stage and began their own traveling theater company, mostly playing small stages. Shakespeare in the Park isn't really a thing right now, but it's the same idea. Comedies in public spaces, really living off of donations, gathering a few other good actors, and touring the country to a small amount of fame. This isn't somebody you would hear about on Broadway playing the big theater groups, but you might have heard about them coming to town and gone and caught their show for $1. Nobody really important. However, sometime around, oh god, and now I've got... Why is roll... Okay, this time I've got the right tab open, but Roll20 is literally not opening the note. Have you ever gotten that thing where you open something and it's see-through?
Oh, like it's a little tiny?
Yeah, it's a little tiny and it's see-through.
That's generally like it's kind of when it automatically collapses. You can kind of double click it again, and it should go right to its normal size.
There we go. Thank you. That fixed it exactly. Okay. All right. So, oh God, where was I? But shortly around the time that the United States was entering into World War II, specifically it mentions 1941, the theater group actually gained a large bit of notoriety by participating in state-sponsored morale plays. You know, propaganda showing the Nazis as Huns and building up public support for bonds and the like. And then they went dark for a period between 1941 and 1943, where literally no known record exists of where they'd been. You can't seem to find any. As you go through the paper, it has specific investigation results, as into looking for pay stubs, looking for eyewitnesses who had seen the brothers, anything that might prove it existed at all. But as you catalog through these pages and pages and pages and pages of what amounts to ultimately nothing, it finalizes in a report that says we can't be sure where the Leifson brothers were between 1941 and 1943. And it says that when they did finally appear, their luck seems to have changed. Instead of playing, again, it's not Shakespeare in the Park, but that's the only thing that my brain can attribute it to right now. But instead of playing public parks and theater where most of their currency came from donations rather than charging tickets, they started playing some pretty big name theaters. You can recognize some of the names on this list and some of these some of the acts that they played. Although the acts, they seem to have taken a more dark twist. They seem to play more horror-themed stuff. Vampires and ghouls and grave robbers and twisted romances that end in lovers dead. Heartbreak and horror seems to have taken a new theme. And as you start to really get into the meat of this sudden shift in their stage productions, a light catches your eye. Light catches the corner of your eye and starts to and burns, plainly put, as the sun has now come up and you've been up all night, and now the morning sun is shining through your window right into your bleary eyes, interrupting your study for now.
Well, Sages knows that we're getting ready to go to breakfast, so she's going to get up, close the file, put it someplace safe, and quickly go take a shower, because that's the closest thing she's going to get to 8 hours of sleep, and go down and join them for breakfast.
Okay. At the same time, as Sage gets her shower with the first early morning light, somebody else is going to be awoken by the early morning light. Gwen!
Hello.
As you're laying in bed, you can feel that warmth of the dawn sun as it slowly creeps up your bed and across your cheek. And maybe there's a moment of hesitation where you don't want to just get up yet, or you're tired, but you don't open your eyes right away until you hear it. The distinct shuffle of movement in your room. And not movement that you'd be used to, not the heavy footfalls of your father stomping about getting ready for the morning, who, even though he's a kind man, his size kind of necessitates that he's not very quiet when he moves around. These are softer, quieter footsteps. And as that terrible realization sinks in and Gwen's eyes open, there's a heavy weight on her chest as she finds she cannot move. The sun bathes her room in a very pale light, the curtains drawn over the windows to hold off most of its brightness, but allowing a thin beam to cascade across the room. And Gwen, you can see the softly breathing figure of your father in his bed as he continues to sleep. But there's a dark figure sitting in one of the lounge chairs across from the beds. And as you stir, it begins to rise from its seat. And even as it crosses that thin little partition of light, it seems to suck all of the brightness out, absorbing it and casting the room into complete shadow before it is across the breach and at your bedside. The thing, vaguely man-shaped, but something disproportionate and wrong about its features, gently reaches under the covers and seizes one of your hands, Gwen. It presses something into your palm and folds your fingers shut over it before tucking this little unseen trinket to your chest. The shadow then leans in close and pushes the hair past your ear before whispering quietly in a familiar voice. She's going to try to take this from you. Don't let her have it. It's the only thing that can keep you safe now. And like that, the weight on your chest is lifted, and a breath you didn't even realize you were holding fills your lungs, leaving you gasping for air as if you've been underwater for an extended period of time. But you can move now, Gwen.
Whose voice was it?
It's the voice of the man in your dreams. The man with the
Gotcha.
face that doesn't quite fit.
Well, she's gonna take a moment to assess that she's not dreaming and that she's actually fucked in real life, and then she's gonna kind of wiggle upright a bit and look at whatever's in her hand.
You find the knife in your hand. The knife you had discovered in Vietnam.
Just the same as it's always been, or anything different about it?
Nope, same as it's always been, though of course not where you left it. It's in your hand now.
Yeah, but she's used to that at this point.
Hmm.
Well, where's Rocket?
Rocket is at the foot of your father's bed, rolled over onto his back with all four paws hanging almost straight up.
But he is completely unbothered by this, I take it.
Nope, not bothered at all. In fact, he seems as unconscious as your dad, although you can obviously, even from where you're at, see them both breathing steadily.
Well, she's not gonna say anything. She's just gonna take a really long moment to just think. And then just kind of go quietly crawl into bed with her dad and press her back up against his and just kind of sit there.
As you crawl into bed with Alvar, you feel him kind of stirring as he opens his eyes. What's the matter? Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Did you have another bad dream?
Something like that.
And those big heavy arms of his wrap around his daughter and holds her close for as long as she needs. Simply holding her in that warm, paternal hug.
She just sits there and it She doesn't really do anything else. She's
Okay.
presumably got the knife just kind of clutched up against her chest and just kind of curled up into like half a fetal position. But other than that, she's not doing anything.
Alrighty then. Last we left off, rest of our party, Emilio and Manson were down at breakfast. Parvana, you had gone out to mail a package. When you returned to the hotel, would you be heading up to your room? What would you do? I should say.
We kind of had a predetermined plan, right?
I honestly don't remember, but I'm going to say that we were planning to meet up over breakfast.
I think she'd just go right to breakfast. I think that's how she'd time it out.
Okay. As you go to breakfast, you'd actually see Manson leaning back in a chair with a toothpick going at his teeth. His plate already empty. The carcasses of a hearty meal strewn across the trays. Emilio, would you still be eating?
No, Emilio finished eating a while ago. He's just probably on his third or fourth cup of espresso by this point.
Okay. But as Parvana walks into view, Manson sort of sits up straight in his chair and turns to address her. Morning.
Good morning.
You get any sleep last night?
As much as I could muster. Am I late? Did we... Or is it just... Or are you still keeping woodsman hours?
Still keeping woodsman hours, but I think everybody else is sleeping in today. Honestly, they've earned it. It was a rough day yesterday.
That it was.
Speaking of, I was actually thinking, well, let me back up. We're going to need to go give some statements. We had a outright encounter with and he kind of wiggles his hand in a strange gesture, but you get that he doesn't want to talk about what they encountered in the middle of a restaurant.
No, if we're here on business, we should do things by the book. Understood.
Yeah. But we're going to need to go make statements and tell the investigators what we saw. That being said, I was thinking maybe if we could, it's your team, giving Gwen and her dad the day off. Just give them some time to rest. Get some lunch, stay in the city, relax a little bit. There's nothing their statements would add that ours won't.
Well, it's at the very least her father was. And she kind of pauses and thinks that and realizes she can't really protest in the restaurant. And looks just. No, that makes sense. They have gone through quite a bit.
And ultimately, there's, as of right now, nothing on this that's time sensitive to these statements, so they could always speak to someone about it later. I'd like to give them the day off, some chance to get a deep breath.
No, I get it.
After that, Manson just nods appreciatively and then looks a little bit past Parvana and raises a hand to wave at Sage, who's now just entered the restaurant.
Sage
after her
is
shower.
automatically gonna go for the coffee. She's gonna just have a half coffee, a cup full of coffee, and a half of it cream with lots of sugar. And she's just gonna start drinking that with a little bit of eggs.
Wow.
Eggs in the coffee. That's impressive.
Yeah, that is impressive.
Party.
Can we get you anything, Parvana? I've already eaten, but we can flag down a waiter if you want something.
She'll. Yes, yeah. I should eat. Absolutely. I'll take a look at what they have.
Okay.
She looks to Emilio. Anything good?
Fruit's good. Pastry's good. It's all pretty standard fare.
Pastry is always nice.
How was the prisoner last night? I know you were shacked up with him.
I think he understands the situation of our work. To which I probably should take a look at the menu and get some room service.
Well, it's on company dollar. Might as well.
And she'll, whenever the waiter is flagged down, take a look and just get some pastries and tea for herself and order a big breakfast for room service. Not to be delivered, but to kind of come to the table and like it to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you all would have some fantastic service at the fucking continental breakfast, whatever the hell shit. You would have fantastic service. There would be nice soft music playing the whole time. The waiters would be on top of things. They'd be very receptive. If they weren't clearing dishes, they'd be getting your orders, make sure your drinks were filled. I assume Sage would be getting lots of coffee refills.
She is, but as she's starting to drink her second cup, she's gonna slowly lower and just, Mason, how long have you known Hutchinson?
Manson stops drinking his big tall glass of water and just thinks about it for a moment. Going on 3 years now. I met him initially when I first joined, but we don't really have a particularly close working relationship. I had one investigation that we worked side by side, but that was about it.
But he's a really good agent, right?
That's subjective.
In your opinion, then he's a good agent.
He's a good soldier. I don't think he's a good agent, no. He's good when you need to kick a door down and take the situation by the scrote, but he's an asshole.
I'm not gonna argue that. Do you know about how long he's been with Delta Green?
Oh, since its formation, from what I hear. Back when it came out of OSS and all that. Wow, my brain just completely died. Let's rewind Manson having a fucking stroke at the table and then just face planting into the table.
I'm a doctor.
From what I know, he's been with the company since OSS and FBI first started after the events in Innsmouth.
So he's fairly high up then, right?
Well, as far as I know, he's actually turned down most of the offered promotions. He prefers the field work.
Can Parvana hear this as well?
Yeah, we're all sitting at the breakfast table.
Parvana would kind of interject with, not so high up that they couldn't move him around.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he prefers field work, so he's stayed. I mean, the guy's technically the same authority as me, although seniority kind of there's always a little bit of a favoritism, I guess.
But he's been in a fairly higher position for a while.
Yeah, I mean, he's been an agent for as long as I've been with the company, longer, much longer. Why? What? I'm curious. Where's all this coming from?
It's just on our last one, he didn't give much information, and I was just wondering about your opinion of him.
He's a man I'd like to have on my side, but not somebody I want to work with. That really is the cliff notes of my opinion of him.
Actually, that sounds about right. Yes, thank you.
Oh, happy to help. And he just takes a drink from his glass of water. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to discuss over breakfast? Hello, Kayla? Is it working now?
Hi, Kayla.
Hello?
Testing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yay.
I don't know if this will actually last though. I've determined what the issue is, and I think our little switch that we use for all of our LAN connections has popped its cookies, so it keeps stopping sending packets after about 5 minutes of working.
Oh boy.
So I don't know if I'll be on. Continue, and if I drop out again, know that that's the problem.
Okay.
If it makes you feel better, that is an adorable sounding IT problem.
It is. It really is. It keeps dropping his cookies.
You guys just send out the packets.
All right. So does anybody else have something they'd like to discuss over breakfast, either with other characters or or Manson?
I'm curious how old Hutchinson is.
Old.
Yeah, if he was an agent from the inception,
Mm-hmm.
1927 to 28,
Yeah.
that's old.
Yeah. It's almost like that's a little bit important.
It's too bad I don't think any of us have the knowledge of when Innsmouth was, because none of us were Delta Green agents.
That's No, that's not true. All of you except Emilio did get information about Innsmouth
I guess that's true.
in
Chase
Vietnam.
knows.
Chase knows. Emilio, I will say, does not know that. The rest of you do, I will say, and again, I am trying, sorry for jumping this on you guys because it has been a while. You would know that Delta Green was formed in the 20s. Because you got information specifically about the Innsmouth incident.
And how old does he look now?
He looks in his 50s. I mean, he looks 50s, 60s. Old, but not decrepit.
But wait a minute. Okay, yeah.
Troubling.
Okay, Sage is actually going to quickly ask it. Do you know how old he was when he started working for Delta Green?
You just get a bit of a blank stare from Mason as he shakes his head. No. Sorry, but no, I don't know. It must be getting up there, though. I mean, God. Innsmouth was in 1927.
So we don't know when he turned into an asshole. Got it.
He probably always was one. Honestly, you'd be better off asking Mr. And I've forgotten Gwen's last name.
Koskela.
Koskela, thank you. You'd be better off asking Mr. Koskela. He worked with the man a lot more than I did. From what I understand, he was on personal, well, not personal, but he was the pilot for most of Hutchinson's missions in the Arctic Circle during 1950 to 1960-ish. That whole era. He worked with him a lot more than I did.
Well, it'd be interesting to know if he was always an asshole.
And in return to that, Manson would just kind of shrug and drink some more water.
He's a thirsty boy.
Shh, not here. You don't get to make sarcastic remarks. You're having sanity recovering cuddles with your dad. Speaking of, go ahead and roll a sanity check for me because I forgot how this game works. I completely forgot how this game works.
All right. Hang on.
You were
Did
visited
Kayla
by a
leave
dark
us?
entity in the night, and we've lost Kayla again. So.
Yeah, her switch is down.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Intelligence, then.
Yes, please.
That's bad, isn't it?
Yes, it is. 1d4 for me, please.
Hey!
There you go. That being said, cuddling with your dad probably is a relaxing. Cuddling with your dad and dog, you can go ahead and go for some sanity recovery.
Fuck!
Well, there's the roll you needed on your sanity check.
Alright, so then I just take 1 out for the loss.
Yeah, you're at 31 now. Okay. At some point during the breakfast, Anderson would have joined you, although she doesn't seem very talkative at this early hour. But as breakfast drags on, and everybody's on to their second or third drink. They've probably finished their food. Anderson is having another plate of hash browns. That's literally all she's had is like 3 plates of hash browns this morning.
Sage is probably on her like dozenth cup of coffee.
Yeah. Noticeable absence. Y'all can notice an absence. Jesus. Gwen hasn't come down yet. Nor her father.
Nor her dog.
Nor her dog. It would be really concerning if Rocket came down for breakfast without the 2 of them.
Hey man, he heard bacon cooking, and that became priority number 1.
If
That
Rocket
does
came
sound
down,
incredible.
we probably wouldn't hunt for the other 2.
Yeah. But Manson, after this kind of realization sinks in, would look around. We haven't seen Gwen all morning, have we? Or her dad. Has anybody spoken to either of them?
Not yet today.
Okay. God, I hope they're all right. Well, I know you've got to get food up to
Another late sleeper.
yeah, you got to get food up to him. Say, do you want to come with me and we'll go check on them? Let's
Sure.
make sure they're doing all right, and just make sure everything's all right. And God, my brain is absolutely the worst. But then Manson would look to Emilio. You mind getting the valets to bring the cars around front? We're probably gonna want to go shortly after this. Jay.
I'm sorry. What was that?
Emilio, would you mind getting the valets to bring the cars around front? We're probably gonna want to go after this.
Yeah, he nods quietly and continues sipping his espresso.
Okay.
Sage is gonna walk in front of Manson, wiggling her butt enough for him to notice.
He does notice. He appreciates that butt. It is good butt.
Jesus.
Dead ass. No. Hello?
Kayla. We only get her for 5-minute intervals.
Apparently.
It is fixed.
Oh, nice.
You're gonna hear a really loud noise in the background, and I'm sorry.
Oh dear. Well, you had a nice breakfast of hash browns. That's what Anderson has done today.
And only hash browns.
Yep.
Fuck yeah.
Anyways, which do you guys want to do first? Gwen and Gwen getting woken up, or do you want to have a conversation with Lukowski Parvana?
If we could go ahead and do the Gwen and
Yeah. So,
Okay, that's right, because you need to get to bed early.
thank you.
All right. Gwen, after closing your eyes and resting a little bit with Alvar for a while, there's a soft tapping on your door. This seems to stir Rocket, who rolls over, gets on his feet, and begins wagging his tail excitedly as he trots up to the door.
Oh yeah, that's right. Rocket likes me, doesn't he?
He
Rocket
does,
likes everyone.
except that guy in Vietnam.
Yeah. Gwen's just gonna stay put and let Alvar deal with it.
It would feel like there's a mountain moving inside the bed as Alvar untangles himself from Gwen. The not the foundation, the
Bed frame?
thank you, bed frame
Or
creaking
mattress
as
frame?
creaking with effort as Alvar swings his feet over and stands up. Despite him not stomping across the room, but only walking with a normal step, you can still noticeably hear his bare feet as they move before the door opens a crack and a giant, bearded, bleary-eyed man looks out to Manson and Sage.
Ooh, is he
Morning.
naked?
No!
No. He's wearing a nightshirt and shorts, though. Well, boxers. But he would give sort of a bleary-eyed blink and just look at Sage and Manson. Morning. We missed breakfast? Yes, you did, Manson pipes up. But, is everything all right in there? Yeah. Yeah, just sleeping in. It was a long day. Manson kind of nods quickly. Well, if y'all want to sleep in some more, I spoke to Parvana and she's given me the go ahead to give you and your daughter the day off. And at this, Alvar seems to perk up a little bit. He's like, "Really?" And Manson nods again, reaches into his back pocket, pulling out his wallet. He says, "Yeah, here." And he hands Alvar about $40 in cash, which is a lot more than it is now.
Yeah.
But he kind of shoves it into Alvar's big meaty claws. And
Excuse me, those are paws.
oh right, he's a bear, that's right. And just says, "Yeah, try to get some rest today. We may have you speak to some people later, but take the day off, relax. I know it's been stressful for you and your daughter." And Alvar nods and offers a small, tired smile. "Well, thank you." Morning. And he looks to Sage this time and offers her that same smile.
Good morning.
"Well, if I've got the day off, I'm going back to bed. You have a good one and stay safe." And Manson would nod.
Let me know if you ever need company.
Oh, fuck off. Don't make Gwen get out of bed.
Can I get a charm roll?
No! Lucas, no!
Aw.
That
His
would only be
wife
better if she
died.
fumbled.
His wife died, he is impenetrable.
Would you like to spend
No!
less to push that?
Lucas!
I'd like to state that me and
75 is a pretty good chance.
like is that
Good
me and
chance.
Locus are giving Angie the same advice. I'm just off mic.
Hang on, it's my character.
It's your NPC.
Listen,
He
just
shut the
because
door.
they're your characters doesn't mean people can't ship them, okay? Otherwise the internet wouldn't exist. Thank you.
He's your
Okay, but
NPC,
he's
not your
my
character.
asexual dad. Leave him alone.
Or is he?
Yes,
I mean, he
is.
had
Just
you,
breathe that
so
He can't be that asexual, yeah.
Well, he's asexual after his wife died. He's
I
just
mean,
not
there's
had
a
the
rebound
interest.
period.
Oh my god, she's 20 years old!
I mean, that's kind of what guys his age are typically looking for.
Yeah,
Let's be
yeah.
honest.
Oh, no, I mean, Gwen is 20 years old. All of this is wrong. All of you are wrong.
Wait, would I get a bonus dice because I am just a little bit younger than him?
No! That's not his fetish! Why is this so important? Leave him alone! Batman!
Hey, I'm not. No, you can't blame me for this. I'm not the one.
Yes, I
rolling the
can! You
dice.
said, would you like to roll charm? Would you like to push
am-
that, Andy?
I am offering options. I am not making anybody do anything.
Wait, if
Petition
you're
to
allowing
start a
her to push the rules, though, you should allow Darby to set the punishments.
No. I'm still
The
the GM.
punishment is Gwen is gonna get out of fucking bed. And she's in a bad fucking mood right now.
Isn't it usually Daddy you're not supposed to wake?
Oh my god. Dad!
Every part of this hurts.
But Angie, would you like to push that roll,
Oh,
and how would you
fuck
do it?
off.
I'll leave it alone for
You're gonna
now.
leave it alone. Okay.
I'll try to charm him later. Don't worry.
Okay. Well, in that case, Alvar will bid you both a good morning and then close the door before crawling back in bed and squeezing Gwen. No more than she's used to, but she's gonna get a big old bear hug.
I imagine she's quite squeeze proof at this point.
Yep. But Alvaro would just mumble as he gets back into the bed. Looks like we've got the day off.
That's good because I wasn't leaving anyways.
Well, what do you want to do today?
I don't know. Nothing.
Manson gave me some money if you want to go, I don't know, see a movie. Might be an air show in town.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay. But let's first, just a few more hours. And you can
Yeah.
feel the weight of his massive head hitting the pillow. Parvana. And by the way, Angie, if you have to go to get to bed for work, I can promise you that nothing world-shattering will be happening for Sage. So,
Okay then. Sorry, everybody. I just have a very early morning tomorrow, and sleep is good and wonderful, and I miss it.
Yes.
absolutely. So get some rest. Thank you for being here tonight. We will make sure to catch you up on what happens when you're gone, but like I said, it's going to be nothing world-shattering for Sage.
I'll probably go ahead and watch the YouTube when it comes out.
Awesome. Have a good night.
Thank you and good night, everybody.
Anyways,
And then the
Parvana,
world shattered.
specifically all of New York, it just broke off and floated out into the ocean.
No! How will I get my garbage plates?
We're gonna need a boat.
Mm.
Garbage on the sea. Anyways, Parvana, as you get back to your room, food tray in hand or in tow, you would find a very distraught Lukowski, still handcuffed but not on the bed anymore. He's managed to roll himself on the floor, and you can see him and hear him even before you open the door, struggling against his handcuffs and sweating bullets. Absolutely sweating bullets.
So she would open the door and then just kind of look down at him just sweating and just look around the room first.
Nothing jumps out to your immediate what you immediately see. You can of course make a spot hidden if you would like.
That's what I'm going to do.
There is nothing in this room except for some things being shaken around, which would be fair to assume from Lukowski hitting the floor and writhing around on the ground. Nothing is out of place.
She is going to calmly close the door behind her and then look down. What's going on?
Fucking these handcuffs are so fucking tight. Goddamn, it's been fucking a day since I had myself a snifter, and I'm just. Can you get these fucking
All
things
right.
off me, please?
Yeah, she's alone, right?
Yeah, she is absolutely alone right now.
All right, she's gonna take the handcuffs on and then put the food down. I know there's things you're more hungry for now. Go do that.
And almost as soon as the handcuffs are off, Lukowski vanishes into the bathroom. And you can hear him rummage around a little bit, and he's gone a little bit longer than you might expect, but then you hear the toilet flush.
At some point during the middle of that, she'd just shout out, "Light dosage, you'll have to make a statement today. Not out of your mind."
There's a brief pause in the shuffling, followed by a sort of a exasperated, fine. And after the toilet flushes, Lukowski emerges from the bathroom, rubbing at his nose with just a little bit of blood dripping. But he pushes that off with his thumb and wipes it on the inside of his shirt before sitting down. Wow, what a spread.
Well, it's a very nice hotel.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been in someplace this nice. Normally I would get sent to third world shitholes like the fucking Congo.
And you're going to have to think about the statement you're going to make. Otherwise, you're going to be shipped to some third world shithole on the wrong side of it.
At this, Lukowski looks up at her.
Look, despite everything that looks at, I believe you when you say you didn't mean to bring that in. But if we can work this through and figure out who gave you that container, that takes the guilt away from you.
And there's a very long pause as Lukowski you can see the gears turning in his head as he then nods and says, all right, I might be able to see if I can go through receipts when I was in Germany. It won't, they don't give a receipt for this, but at least it might tell me the area I was in when I got it. We can narrow it down from there.
Good. That is an excellent start.
Hang on. And you see him sort of pull out his the same bag you'd seen last night where all the drugs had first emerged from. And once again he begins pulling out the little bottles and going through, looking at the actual prescriptions on the side. Most of the ones are drugs that you prescribed him, and he kind of puts them off to the side, not really worrying about them. But some of the older uppers and anxiety medications of the time that he's clearly had the prescriptions for a couple of months now, he goes through, and you can see him looking through each of the prescriptions while he eats.
taking inventory.
Well, I'm trying to figure because when I went to this place, it was this guy was the guy. I mean, he sold me whatever the fuck that shit was, but process of elimination. If I got see, I got this here. I got this in France when I was there. Means I didn't get it there because I saw the guy in France, which means he wasn't the guy who sold me that shit. So I'm just trying to figure out by process of elimination if I get where I got all these, where I got the stuff.
Can she help him sort it out based on prescription?
Absolutely. I am going to need a well, I'm going to need a roll for that, but I'm going to how do you want to justify that? What kind of roll do you want to use?
To be fair, I feel like this is mostly her going through pretty much prescriptions, dates, knowing what she would have prescribed, but also kind of going by effectively what would be available in what countries and what would be the preferred accessibility. So, pharmacy?
Yeah, go ahead. Pharmacy will work. That is a success. You're able to basically come up with a system, knowing the pharmaceutical, for lack of a better term, paperwork as well as you do. You're able to come up with a nice system for organizing this stuff and get what he was trying to accomplish done in half the time. You're able to more or less just, this gets done before he can even finish his breakfast.
I also have a question. Since that is a hard success, is there anything I didn't prescribe that theoretically could be useful?
Oh, there's a lot that you didn't prescribe that could be useful. You can find in this little collection uppers of every variety. While recently, Lukowski seems to have made much more preference towards heroin and other opiates. In this period of his life, these were the more exciting pills. I forget the exact classification. Hang on. I actually have this tab around here somewhere. Stimulants. That's what it specifically, that's the term for it. But you can find a variety of basically legal amphetamines. Cocaine's not, no, cocaine. When was cocaine illegal? Hang on, I gotta look that
Always?
up. No, it was not. It was legal for a very long.
There's probably at this point better,
Yeah.
like especially prescription grade.
Yeah.
Are we saying that cocaine was used as an anti-anxiety medication in the 1960s? Because if so, that is hilarious due to how badly that would go.
Well, it wasn't used. It specifically was not used as an anti-anxiety, but it was used for medical purposes. It was used largely as a topical anesthetic.
Technically, cocaine isn't actually. Well, cocaine isn't illegal, it is controlled. It's a Schedule II drug.
Okay.
So it is legal medically. So officially, it's not quote unquote illegal. It's actually illegal in places like the United Kingdom.
Yeah, it's not like that, Schedule 3 devil's herb marijuana.
No, not at all. Well, okay, yeah, you would probably be able to find some medical grade cocaine analogs, a variety of stimulants, the kind of things that would keep you awake, fill you with energy, that sort of thing, as well as ecstasy in just about every color of the rainbow. This is, after all, back when hippies were. I was about to say this is the summer of love, but summer of love refers to a very specific time period, and I'm actually not positive we're part of that.
All right, she's going to kind of pick out the most, at least from what she can gather. I mean, the ecstasy is not. There's only so much she can kind of gather just by looking at it. but she's going to
Also, I got that wrong. LSD, not
LSD.
ecstasy.
LSD, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
my bad.
LSD, and then just kind of hold up the bottle of what she knows is the most potent stimulant and look at him, and it's like, with this combination, you're going to give yourself a heart attack, and then she's going to pocket it.
Hey, but come on. All right. You know what? I'm not going to argue. I don't have the heart for an argument this morning. But it
Trust
looks.
me, I'm your doctor.
All right, you got me there. But it looks like I got this when we were in Germany. That much we know. But I've narrowed it down. It was the week before you guys got there. I was on site setting things up for that op. Getting everything ready. Then I flew back to America and got you. Then I came back. The week before that must have been when I picked this shit up.
So that jar predates everything.
Well, doesn't necessarily predate what happened in that listening post. Because they'd been dead for a while.
You're not wrong.
But
But
hang on. Where was I? And he kind of shuffles around through his stuff and says, Cologne. I was in Cologne when I got this. I was in a club in Cologne. That's where I got this.
interesting. So in Cologne, and you remember nothing about other than it's somebody selling you party drugs.
No, nothing. I don't even remember the name of the club, but that I can find. Now that I narrowed it down, I can find out where that was sold.
All right.
I'm gonna need to make a couple phone calls, but I can get that for you.
Work on it.
And Lukowski flashes you a thumbs up.
One
Give me
more
a day
thing,
and
though.
I can help you get this. What? Yeah.
Do you know that from what you saw there and what we've seen already, we're dealing with something beyond what we're normally used to. We're dragged in beyond the normal spook stuff.
Yeah, I can say that much. No, I didn't necessarily completely believe it when I read the reports, but seeing that shit fly off the table with my own eyes yesterday, and he just shakes his head.
So you have to trust me on this one. I know these things have the ability to, without getting into you, to mess with your memory. Or exert some control. You have to leave your mind open to the possibility that despite this cornucopia of narcotics you have here, it might be something non-chemical that's making this so hard for you to remember.
Oh God. And as you say that, you see realization dawn on Lukowski's face, and he kind of leans back against whatever the chair he was sitting on, and just repeats, "Oh God."
No. I'm not doing this to scare you. I'm doing this to reassure you. I know this is a strange start to this. I spent the time since we got back from Vietnam making what connections I could. We're in deep here, and we need to know who we can trust. And I have it on good authority that we have divisions working on ways to help see through that fog. So I need you to trust me when I say, if I think there's something we can do to help clear you, this isn't the classic, I'm going to take you out behind the barn and put two between your eyes. because
Sure, that almost sounds like the merciful thing at this point, and he kind of laughs dryly after that.
look, as I said, I've been looking into it. I've close up to some of the science, folks. Could be a procedure.
And Luskowski nods again, very slowly, trying to process what he's just heard. All right, Parvana, I trust you, but I'm not gonna lie, this shit's got me scared. This is fucking terrifying.
I know it's. Now I have more to work on to keep this. Look, do you have food here? You have. And she looks at the medication. You have that. You have a phone. The more you stick to being contained and behaving, the less those more extreme options lie on the tables of people who go above me. Understood?
And this time, it's a very quick nod. I got it. I'll stick around here. I'm not going anywhere.
All right.
No.
I'll announce myself when I'm coming in. Anybody else put the handcuffs back on?
You can see that idea doesn't really. He's not happy about that, but he does. Yeah. All right. He agrees to it.
Okay. I have more to deal with.
All right. You stay safe out there, Parvana.
As strange as it sounds, since I just told you to stay here, you be careful as well.
Oh, that's not ominous at all.
Trying times. Trying times. And she closes the door behind her.
All right. Well, down in the lobby, you would all be able to reconvene. Parvana arriving slightly later than everybody else after her conversation with Lukowski. But Emilio and Anderson, considering she didn't go with either group, would be down at the lobby with the cars waiting to go. And Manson, seeing Parvana coming down towards them, would just kind of take a step forward as she approached the group. Everything upstairs was fine. They're just sleeping in. I went ahead and gave them the day off, so they're probably going to stick close to the hotel, I get the feeling.
Myself as well. Hopefully they'll see this with clearer eyes.
Yeah, hopefully. All right, let's load up and get going. And it doesn't matter who's in what car. Y'all get in the cars and start heading back the way you'd come. Manson would actually be taking the lead this time in his Jeep. And you would be driving back into the forest where the day before you had had your terrifying incident. That being said, as you get deeper into the woods, you see, even before you turn onto that little road that led to the ranger station, you see Manson up front hit his turn signal and start pulling off onto the shoulder. And after pulling off onto the shoulder, he would come to a slow stop, assuming anybody else was pulling over with him.
All right. Parvana's probably likely driving if there's another car, so she'll just follow the lead.
Yeah, I think we had 3 vehicles coming back, or was it 2? I can't remember.
Two.
It was
2.
2. Thank
It
you.
was too.
Okay. Yeah, Manson would pull over, and after Parvana pulled over, he would get out of the car, and if anybody was in the car with him, in the lead car, you would just see this kind of happen without him saying anything. He would have signaled to pull over, opened the driver's side door, and gotten out of the car and started walking about 10 feet into the woods. And there he would have kind of stopped and looked around and just stood there for a long moment before walking back with a small smile on his face and loudly declaring to everybody in the vehicles, "I hear fucking birds."
Fucking
And
good
sure
for
enough-
you. Let's get going.
Well, and that kind of deflates the wind from
Aw.
Manson's sails as he's like, "No, yesterday when the thing, never mind."
It was silent, yes.
But yeah, today don't you hear it? And sure enough, as he says that, you would hear the usual sounds of the forest. You'd hear birds trying to get fuck. There would be the various calls of animals.
Can I
Scurrying,
smash?
guttering. Yeah, exactly.
Can I smash?
Becky, let me smash.
Becky, let me smash. You like blue? She doesn't like blue. Ben's a hoe. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go back to being muted.
The Shield Against Midnight. Memes in the wilderness.
Roll thought.
My God.
It's your fault, man. You started it.
I
You
did
did
start it.
start.
The campaign.
Well, everything.
Yeah.
Anyways, but after sort of that moment of, but this is a good thing, and then Parvana reassuring Manson, he would get back in the car and start heading back down. They would make the turn onto the little almost one lane road that had led to the ranger station previously. And can I get a spot hidden from everybody? Okay, that's a hard success.
I don't think you fixed your internet. It's not connecting to Quantum Dice correctly. It can only retrieve 96.
Meanwhile, I just hear the Switch in the background just screaming at me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that is everybody. I was sitting there waiting for more rolls. No, that's everybody.
Yeah, I'm on vacation.
when
I
you're
was
not-
gonna do
That's right.
a listen roll for Rocket just to be stupid, but I can't actually access who it's coming from because I can't see that fucking chat box, so it would just come from Gwen, and then, it's not as
Anyway.
funny.
Anyways, Emilio.
You
In
hear
the
shit when you're not
distance.
listening to fucking birds.
As you're driving up the road, you can see above the trees a plume of black smoke rising towards the sky. The kind of smoke that would, denote like a tire fire or plastic burning. Not the thick, as in the cloud, as in the fire is still burning, but that pillar of smoke that rises after a fire has been extinguished, but it's still hot.
I think there's some
Parvana-
fire up ahead.
You don't see that until Emilio calls attention to it. And Anderson, you are paying attention to a really interesting squirrel. And as you sort of crane your head to look at it, Parvana breaks for a turn and you smack your head against the passenger seat with the braking. It's embarrassing if you don't take any damage.
It was Parvana swerving to hit the squirrel, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It might have been.
Fuck you and your dumb enchanted forest.
But Emilio has just called your attention to smoke, Parvana, and you're driving straight towards it.
Oh no. What's when is it again? It's
It's about 11 o'clock in the morning.
and like what season?
Oh, it's February. Oh God, I have to go back and it's spring. It is spring.
So not exactly wildfire season in New
No.
York. What the fuck?
Yeah, no, not at all.
Oh, this and nobody else in the other cars not stopping, still going in.
Yep, no, Manson is not slowing down, although he's driving slower than you personally would, Parvana, and it's a little bit frustrating being stuck behind him because you know you could totally take this road much faster and just get this shit over with.
Yeah, she's kind of drumming her fingers on the wheel. Just, I have a feeling there's going to be much less evidence than we're hoping for.
Is that a surprise?
Not particularly. But you can hope.
Would we be able to smell anything at this rate? Like, say, burning meat, cooking meat?
Not inside a car.
Do you doubt my sense of smell?
Yes.
Yes. Also, you hit your head on the front seat, so your
Your
sense of
smell is
smell is
broken.
currently scrambled.
Yeah, even if the potato field was on fire, you wouldn't be able to smell.
Yep.
It's
That's what I call baked potatoes.
Oh my God.
Going back to being muted, sorry.
To be fair,
Anyways,
she did ask if she could smell meat. And let's be honest, smell of barbecue can penetrate anything.
that's true. It really
Yes.
can. As you get a little bit closer, though, and this would not be much of a long drive after you start seeing the smoke, maybe 5-10 minutes, you would start to smell that very caustic smell of burning rubber
Oh,
and
excuse me.
plastic. Yeah. Was that an I need to leave, excuse me, or?
No, that was a Emilio farted joke. I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ.
There we go.
But shh.
I can't believe I didn't get a fart joke. I need to go commit honorable Sudoku now. Okay. But you would start to smell burnt plastic, burnt rubber, and all sorts of stuff. But you would actually be stopped before you got to the wreckage that you had abandoned yesterday. There would be another police cruiser sitting out on the side of the road, but with the officer raising his hand stepping out into the road and raising his hand to stop you. And Manson would slow the vehicle down, and you could see the front window, the driver's side window, roll down, and Manson lean out. You hear him shout, "I'm with the Forestry Service," before the conversation takes on a more conversational tone instead of shouting, as the officer approaches his vehicle, and you can see Manson pull out some sign of identification. They talk back and forth for a couple of moments, and then the officer steps off back to the side of the road and waves you through. Manson would go ahead down the road, and again, it's just another couple of minutes before you arrive at the scene where yesterday there had been the crashed police cruiser and the fallen tree. Today, there's a few cruisers. Well, I don't know if they're cruisers in this time period. Police cars, whatever the fuck. There's a few police cars all around. They seem to be lined up on the opposite side of the road. You can see officers wearing little latex gloves, going about their business, cordoning off the area and such. And the wreck you saw yesterday, which had been smashed across the hood by a tree, he's in the same ditch it was in, but it's a burnt wreck now. Blackened, charred, and otherwise unrecognizable.
Can we tell if there's a body inside still?
There was never a body inside. Well, there was briefly a body inside, but remember the thing ate it?
Never mind.
So there is no body inside. But actually, Anderson, since you bring that up, give me a spot hidden.
So I can fumble it again. You
Please do.
monster.
Oh, no, okay. Actually, I'm going to give everybody that opportunity. Please, all spot hiddens.
He
And
wants to
Jay's turn
fumble.
to
Wow.
fumble it.
Don't do it.
Okay, you guys don't see shit.
We're all looking
Emilio?
at the squirrel, and Emilio's just like, hit that one.
Emilio sees the squirrel, the very enchanting squirrel from earlier.
It's flipping him off.
And as Manson starts to pull over on the side of the road and Parvana follows him to park, he also clonks his head on the dashboard as they come to a stop. It doesn't hurt that bad. You take no damage, but it is embarrassing.
What the fuck, Parvana?
Don't blame her for your own stupidity.
Go back to
Look,
your
it's
bed,
a-
Gwen.
Anderson's
Look,
grumbling about
What kind of shocks did you get on these cars?
They got, I don't know, literally just whatever they had at the used car lot. They were clean, though.
I suppose that's the most important part. I mean, she just waves. Dashboards aren't now.
Whatever. Kind of rubs his head and steps out of the car. Why did we come back here?
Because we got to make our report, Manson says from as he gets out of his car. One of the officers who was just kind of standing, milling off to the side, walks up and says, Manson? Yeah. And he holds out his hand and shakes the officers. So what's the cover? Manson says. Well, we're going with he was involved in a prisoner exchange, which is true. Well, not prisoner exchange, prisoner transport, which is true. Somehow the convict got control of the car, killed the officer, dumped it out here and burned it for to get away. Can't find either of the bodies. Can't find the officer's body. Can't find the convicts. That's what we're going with here.
Anderson looks at Amelia pointedly.
That's an atrocious cover story.
Your name's not going to be in it, Manson says with kind of an assuring hand
If
wave.
you're trying to get away, why do you stop and burn the body? If you've been cuffed, they've booked you, right? They know who was in the car. Why would you burn the body?
Wait. No. We said burn the car to get out, not the body. Trying to hide that this was a police car.
That wouldn't last very long.
Lasts long enough to get you over a border. We ain't that far from Canada.
Yeah, and the
All right,
Mounties
well-
are so much easier to get away from.
And the sheriff kind of looks a little bit indignant. Well, what would you suggest then?
Something not so stupid. Electrical trouble, crash, lost control of the vehicle, improper maintenance, have some poor schmuck from Motorpool take a month off.
Manson kind of looks at the officer, and the officer looks at him. That is a bit better.
Then you don't explain you don't have to explain the prisoner, you don't have to explain what happened to the officer. Impact. Electrical short, car burned.
Yeah, but then we gotta explain what happened to the body.
Body burned in the car.
All right, yeah.
Not like you
he's got a
can't pull
point.
remains from some boneyard. Mail order, for God's sake, man.
Manson kind of chuckles. Careful, he's gonna take your job. Oh, fuck off, Manson. And the officer kind of steps back to his car and grabs a clipboard. I'm gonna need to speak with y'all one by one anyways. You up first, Manson? Yeah, sure, why not? And you see the two of them kind of step off to the side where they're out of immediate earshot, but it wouldn't take much effort to actually listen in on their conversation as the officer starts asking questions and Manson starts answering them. And with each question, something gets marked on the sheet. There's occasionally a pause as the officer sits and scribbles in a more detailed answer. But overall, for right now, as the officers kind of, you're more or less left to your own devices for the moment. Y'all just gonna sit around and wait? You gonna take a look around, see if you can find anything? Right now, the police don't seem overly concerned with you.
Where did the creature go down again?
It went down slightly off the road, a little bit ways into the woods, where Emilio stabbed it to death.
Yeah, Parvana's gonna go looking for that.
Okay.
Emilio,
Anderson will go with Parvana.
Emilio will stand
Do
by the
you-
car.
which,
Unless asked, sorry.
yeah. So she'll kind of look at it as just like, and she'll turn to Emilio. You chased after the thing that way, right?
Yeah, I tackled it across the road. We ended up in that ditch over there.
It's a good jump.
Well, it kinda didn't want it to get away again.
Better us chasing it than it chasing us. And she'll go to search around.
Well, with Emilio pointing you in the right direction, it's actually not hard to find where this thing fell. And actually, this seems to be the area of the most police activity at the moment. You can see a couple of men who are dressed like police officers, but who aren't acting like ones, fawning over the site. They've set up a small perimeter with just basically sticks in the ground and rope, and are going through the grass and the foliage and taking samples of where this creature has fallen.
Is the creature still there?
No. But you can tell that it has had an effect on the wildlife very clearly. The ground is blackened. The grass rising from it has grown seemingly overnight. It's much taller than the surrounding grass and discolored. It's a mixture of red and purple, almost not unlike a bruise. And as the wind kind of slowly blows through the area, you can see that it doesn't move the way grass does. It stands still as if it has better structural integrity than the surrounding green. More than that, there seems to be strange funguses and other life, other plants that you don't recognize. Stuff that just looks odd. There's some sort of fungus nestled amongst it that reminds you of a kidney stone, but other than that, you've never seen anything like that, either in
So-
nature or your study.
So Manson probably would have prepped them on who's actually taking care of this, right?
Yes, it's pretty clear that these are Delta Green taking care of it, not just police officers.
Yeah. And kind of the way they're as you said, they're not acting like police officers, but is in the acting like agents, or are they lab people dressed as?
These are lab people. They're dressed as lab people. They're wearing basically everything short of a full-blown hazmat suit. They've got goggles, they've got masks, the breathing masks, gloves, aprons to protect themselves. They're, again, everything short of the hazmat suit is right now.
Is there a supervisor nearby? Somebody who looks like they're kind of directing?
Not really, but of the three men, you do see one of them who seems to kind of, for a moment, they're both working on taking the same sample, and another man, one of the guys, sort of taps the guy on the shoulder and just points him towards another and seems to redirect them. If anybody's in charge, that it kind of seems like maybe he is. Although he's currently inside the little rope perimeter for the moment.
She will stand and give like a little, like give it a birth, and then just try to see if she can wave somebody over.
As you do that, you would catch the attention of one of the lab guys, and it would actually be the one who wasn't involved in the sample taking. It was the guy on the opposite side of the rope, but he would walk over and sort of nudge the guy you thought was in charge with his foot, who would then stand up and look over and see Parvana waving, and he would kind of say something to the other two and walk over. Can I help you?
I know you have work to do, so keep it brief. We're about to give our statements about what was on site last night.
You're the ones who were here last night. What the hell happened here?
Well, this is what I need to ask you, because this was the middle of the night and I didn't see anything like this. I'm trying to piece this together as much as you are.
Well, to be perfectly honest, we got no fucking clue. We were called in to look at this. It's standard procedure, and well, the first thing that stood out was, of course, the blood and guts, but we found a pile of bones that were so fragile they turned to dust as soon as we touched them, sitting in this clearing, this little spot, and he kind of does a hand gesture to signal the rope enclosure. They turned to dust as soon as we touched them, but there was all this unnatural
Around it.
foliage here. Yeah, it had sprouted up. It was just here when we got here. We've been trying to figure out what it is. These are species we don't recognize.
So
Never
fragile bones, this patch. Sounds like a strange question, but nothing man-made, no machine tools, no weaponry.
No, nothing. We did get a sample of the bone dust, but no, we couldn't get it. We couldn't. They were so fragile, we couldn't even get them in for study. But no, you're looking at what we found. I mean, do you know what happened here? Did something get spilled?
Look, it's, as said, you need to work on what you're doing here without bias. We are going to give our report, and then we will have that all compiled afterwards. I don't want to affect your research here by giving you that much in advance. You need to see this with clear eyes. You know this.
Yeah, you got me there, but I don't know. From my opinion, it looks like some sort of it's alien life, as much as, and you can kind of hear one of the other technicians sigh, and you hear sort of an under the breath, "Here we fucking go." It looks like something from another planet. I mean, it looks fucking like I would expect to find this shit on Mars, you know?
It's
When we actually get into the Russians' program, we find out what they've been doing on Mars, this is the kind of shit I expect to find.
Anderson kind of lets out a little hysterical giggle before shutting up.
You're correct. It does look like something more out of a movie set, but here it is in glorious Technicolor.
Yeah. It's a shame we're going to have to burn most of it. It
Mm,
only
ta-
takes so much sample.
However, I will ask you to, for this particular thing, and she kind of looks, how much work have you done in incidents like this? I mean, it's physical mutation of natural substance.
And man kind of leans a little bit back and he sort of scratches at his mask a little bit before looking at his glove and realizing that wasn't very satisfying to scratch at, an itch on his chin through a mask with a glove, and gives up on that. I'm not sure I can tell you. Be honest. No offense. I don't know who you are.
You got me, I got you. That's procedures.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to tell you, because I'd like to know what the hell's going on here, and I have a feeling you got a couple pictures of that puzzle, but as you said, procedure. Until I know you're cleared for this, I can't tell you anything. Sorry.
If this is the case, because you're clearly very curious about this.
Oh, you
Okay.
bet.
Look, as I said, I'm about to make a statement. I want to work with this as well. This is as much as I am out here, this is more in my wheelhouse. How can I, when I make this statement, how can I reconnect to make sure that we can discuss this on proper terms?
Well, the man kind of thinks about it for a moment. Actually, there's a real easy way to do that. When you make your statement, this is going to go through official channels, get disseminated to anybody who has clearance for it. I'm going to make my report, and it's going to have my name on it, as well as if you got my name and you've got the report, you'll be able to find the way to contact.
Excellent.
Because if you can go through the same channels, you got your hands on that report, and you can get to me.
Perfect. Do me a favor.
Yeah.
When you get back and you're analyzing this, in anticipation of our meeting, pull files on the autopsies from the children of Fuquoc from a few months back.
And you can see the guy think about that for a moment before nodding. He opens his mouth as if he wants to say something else, but then thinks better of it and closes it before more quietly saying, "Yeah, I'll make sure to do that."
Good. I have a statement to make.
And as you would say that, you would actually see Manson looking back towards you, but he would, after Parvana turns around, he would actually point to Anderson, say, "You're up first. He wants to speak to you."
Me? She kind of pointed herself and looked a little bit confused.
Well, since you had more of a, and he kind of thinks about the delicate way to put it, personal interaction with the creature, he wants to get your side of it while it's still fresh.
Anderson kind of gapes a little bit, or like mouths as if she's trying to think of something to retort with, and then just kind of sighs and shrugs and walks over to where this guy is supposedly at, shoves her hands in her pockets and, gives him a look, just like, "Okay, what do you want?"
All right, and you're Anderson, right?
Yeah.
For the sake of the report, can you give me your full name and age, please?
She kind of glares at him a little bit before stating, Brigade Anderson, age 27.
All right, thank you. And you're relatively new to Delta Green, yes?
Yeah.
This is your second operation?
Yeah.
Okay. You you can see the pen working across the paper, and it works quickly, as there's not much that he really needs to write down just yet. But after getting down that basic information, he looks up and says, "So, about what time would you say everything started? Let's go back to the beginning last night. What time was it that things started to turn for the supernatural?"
She kind of kick up the dirt at her feet, just avoiding eye contact with the guy, trying to think. She'd furrow her brow and kind of shrug. I'm not really sure. It was dark. I wasn't really paying attention to the time.
Had it just gotten dark, or had it been dark for a little while?
She shrugs. It's kind of hard to think about. I was already pretty rattled by what had happened back at the cabin.
Well, that's what I meant, back at the cabin where it started. Yeah,
She kind of gives this blank look. Oh.
Yeah, let's go way back to the beginning. Like, let's start. I know you guys were at the cabin. And things got a little strange. Then you tried to escape, and he kind of pauses for a moment. But let's go back to the cabin where everything really got started. Do you know about what time you first? And he kind of stops, not wanting to lead you into a statement, and says about when things started.
No. It was just starting to get dark.
Just starting to get dark, so you'd say about
Yeah.
dusk?
Yeah.
Okay. You see the pen work across the paper. Now, what was was the first thing that brought this creature to your attention? What did you hear things? Did you see things? What was going on?
We heard something that sounded like gunshots.
You heard gunshots. Okay. And after that, that's when the firearms went missing.
Anderson is staring at dust motes pretty intensely, just really trying not to make eye contact. And it seems like she's kind of struggling a little bit with this. Yeah. That's when everyone started noticing that they couldn't find their weapons.
Parvana, would you be willing to give me a spot hidden check real quick?
Sure.
While Anderson has been having this conversation, you've been kind of having a little bit more quiet, subdued talk with Manson and Emilio. Out of the corner of your eye, you catch Anderson and this man talking, and you can visibly see how uncomfortable Anderson is right now. You can tell she really doesn't want to be having this talk, and it's probably not going great for her. Although the officer doesn't seem to be making any sort of accusation or aggressive hand gestures, and he's certainly not yelling or you'd hear it, you can tell Anderson really doesn't want to be there right now.
Parvana would look to Manson. How about I take my statement now?
Manson kind of looks a little bit bewildered, but he's in the middle of taking Anderson's.
I feel like I understand what he's trying to do, but I feel like he should have at least a top-down approach. Look at this. He's floundering, trying to find something. I feel I can give him some more insight better than this.
And what was that, Amelia?
You want me to go piss him off?
No, please don't. And you can see Manson's head go into his hand. No, hang on. Hey, Stevenson? And he kind of raises his voice and lifts up a hand. Anderson, you would see the officer who was about to ask you another question look up and look over to Manson. Do you mind taking on Parvana first? She kind of wants to get hers set. Stevenson looks down at his paper and he's like, "But I just started this one. No, come on. All right." He looks to the officer looks at Anderson. "Step over there, please."
At the first yell, Anderson would have kind of jumped a little bit, kind of startled in some way. And seeing the interaction that just kind of happened, she would just shrug, kind of look a little bit relieved, and go stand where he told her to.
After a moment of shuffling that paperwork aside and pulling out a fresh set of paperwork, he would wave to Parvana to bring her over.
And she would walk over and just immediately go with I apologize. I have a few other things that I need to get cleared on my end, and this way we can both work independently and neither of us will have to wait on the other.
All right, fair enough. For the record, just for the record, can you say your name and age, please? Full name and age?
And that would be Parvana Kavadar, age 31.
All right, Miss Kavadar. Can I ask, roughly when did things get started last night? When did you notice things changing from just a regular meeting to something else?
Well, we arrived later in the day. It was approaching night, I believe, because by the time we had to vacate the cabin, it was fully dark. I remember as I was driving one of the vehicles.
Okay, so you're saying it was about dark that things got started.
Closer to dusk.
Okay, dusk.
Getting dark.
Gotcha. And he again writes down the cliff notes of that. And what was the first thing that you heard or saw? What sort of started things?
At that point, oh geez, now I've got to try to remember way back.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's tough. Trying to remember if it was the silence or the sound.
Well, actually, it's sitting at about 11:30. And I want to do all these interviews more or less back to back. I think let's go ahead and call it for tonight. We'll give some time to review, go over the recordings, and we can just do the interviews next week. How's that sound to everybody?
That sounds good because
Yeah.
I just realized I'm like, oh, that was 2 months ago.
Yeah. So I think everybody, let's get a week to go over the what actually happened out there, and then we'll do our reports next week.
And you can review it too by going to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
Or
No, Twitch doesn't save past a week anymore.
no, but you can link. The link is at the Twitch, right?
Yes, the link to the YouTube is on the Twitch.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Have a good evening, and please remember to tune in this Sunday at, are we doing 3 p.m. Eastern? Or are we going to be later in the day?
I think it should be pretty much same time as last week, which
Okay,
was
so 4 p.m. Eastern.
4 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. Please tune in this Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern for Voices in the Wilderness, a 13th Age game.
It's gonna be madness. I'm not gonna be there.
Neither will
It's
I.
going to be insanity.
Well, yes, because of actual madness in your life.
Oh, God, yeah. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.